Yes, make us all more.
Well, welcome to Science with Mr. LeCompte and Mr. Ehlers. I've asked them to join me today because they've been implementing small group instruction in their co-teaching classrooms. And I just wanted some feedback from them that we could share with some of the other co-teachers in the district, specifically wondering about what approaches they've given a shot at, what are the benefits, maybe with some of their hesitancies, and just their overall reactions. So I'll let them take it away.
Okay. Well, the first thing we tried was the flip-flop switch. And so, do you want to talk about it?
So in the flip-flop switch, what we did was we looked at the kids' IEPs to see which kids would probably need some pre-teaching of the vocabulary. We were doing a writing assignment. And so Jeff took the students that needed to have the vocabulary pre-taught, and he went and worked with that group to teach the vocabulary ahead of time. And basically what they were doing was they were writing about a diagram that we had made, a process of how an ionic and a covalent bond form. And so they took the vocabulary, and he reminded them of what the vocabulary meant, taught that, and then they actually put those vocabulary words where they would go on the diagram. While he was doing that, I worked with another group that we didn't think would need the vocabulary front-loaded. And so I gave them the vocabulary list and told them what the assignment was, and most of those students just went to work starting to explain how the diagram worked. About halfway through, we flipped the groups. I got the students who had been pre-taught the vocabulary, and then they worked on the assignment with me, and he took the students that I had worked with, who most had finished the assignment, and then did an extension with additional vocabulary with them. And I don't think I really had any hesitancies about it in the beginning, but I wasn't sure how successful it would be. I just like, is this really gonna seem to make much difference? And we were really amazed. One of the really cool things was, lots of times students complain about writing, like, oh, I have to write. And I don't think we had anybody all day long who really complained.
In the group that I had, the front-loading group that had the new vocabulary, they didn't complain at all. They didn't have any concerns. They didn't freak out about the vocabulary. In fact, they had to write these things down. They really appreciated, I think, the guidance of not only going over the words, but also, okay, what part of the description of this, whether it be a story or whether it be the activity, what part we're going to use those words in. And when I was front-loading, it was easy just to say, well, how would you write a sentence with this word that would fit this part of the activity? And they could do it because it was broken down into small pieces. And it worked. My hesitancy was, okay, how hard is this going to be to plan and set up? Found out that in both cases where we did this activity and a station activity, it seemed like less planning because we each had a part we were doing. And so it seemed to take less time to plan. And of course, you're doing that same part each time, each class. And so, lots of rehearsal time in there. And so, yeah. And so it became pretty simple. And then, of course, it becomes easier to change it up and maybe, if you see a student that's maybe struggling with a certain kind of word, you know what to do with them. And the other thing I liked about it was the engagement. Small groups really are more engaged, and you certainly have a better time or an easier time of spotting where issues are and where kids are really struggling. Whereas you can't do that with 24 kids in front of you. There's no way. So it's really helped us, I think, key in on, okay, this student is having trouble with this student is doing pretty good with this, maybe we can change the group next time and put them over here because now we know. So yeah, it's made us better teachers.
Okay.
And then the second group breakup we did was we had a 3-station rotation. And what was really nice is we have an excellent para who works with us, and she was able to do one of the stations.
So teaches with us.
So we were able to actually break the class into 3 groups and rotate them through the 3 stations. One of my hesitancies was like, oh, I'm doing the same thing 3 times in a class, and I thought it would just like drive me crazy. I'd be like, and the classes went really quickly.
Behaviors were managed.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. And when now you're down to maybe 8 or 10 students, and all of them can be fairly close to you, and so you're asking questions of 8 or 10 students as you're working with them, rather than 20 or 30. And more students are able to respond. You're really able to zero in on the students that
They
need to
seem
make
more
progress.
comfortable with responding too. I noticed they seem to be more comfortable saying things, whereas in a larger group maybe they won't.
Yeah.
And so that was neat too.
We had to do a couple things differently. probably would have preferred to have had more than one Elmo to use. But what we did was Jeff used the Elmo and I just did it on a whiteboard.
He let me use the Elmo.
And we were in the same classroom, and you know, again, people think that would be distracting, but the students that were with me were focused on me, and as far as I could tell, the students with you were focused on you, and that worked really well.
And then you have a class that has a para. You said you're able to utilize her to kind of observe and support those students in more of a probably independent task instead of an instructional task, given that she's not the actual instructor. But
Well,
here's my question. Sorry. If you didn't have a para, because a lot of teachers don't, could you utilize a student, a higher achieving student, and make sure that there was a higher achieving student in each group, so when that group rotated to that more independent workstation, you had a resource within each station built in?
I have before. I've done that before. And it worked not as obviously as well as the para.
Right,
The para
right.
we have actually knows the content well enough that she can actually teach it.
She's been with us a number of years now.
So it's
She's very comfortable,
Very comfortable with
supporting
Right,
us.
right. She's very good at just jumping in and doing things when we ask her to.
That is nice.
Yeah.
I just
She
know
is.
some people watching this are gonna go, "That's not fair. I don't have a para."
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But absolutely utilizing all your resources. Right?
Yeah, we're spoiled.
You guys are. All right. Thanks. Anything else?
Try it.